on, everyone? Welcome to the Rumpier Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. Early start today. No late games today, there's a couple late games, but a majority of the games are in the afternoon or morning, depending where you're at. I know for DC, it's going to be a morning start for him. But there's, what do we got? 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 8 games on this slate, all, like I said, starting before 4 p.m. Eastern. So a little unique schedule here for us to break down these games today, but we're going to go through and talk about each game, talk about the pitchers, find some plays, find some stacks to produce the winners today. I'm joined, as I said, by DC and my boy G Risen. When we do shows, it's usually around this time. It's on Sundays. D-Rock's with us, and you're usually drinking Modelo's at this point in the day. Are the Modelo's flowing, or are you going with the later start today?
It is a Thursday, so I only have a Coke today, so no Modelo's yet. I got a bowl later tonight. I got 4 teammates. I'll be a little upset if I show up there and got a little wobble to my walk. They'd be mad at me.
It's all right. Bowling's a sport that you can consume the beverages and still do fine, right?
Yeah, but I got to ease into it, start off the first game. It's always funny. My first game average is always about 15 pins higher than my third game average.
Yeah.
But, it's always fun. Good to hang out with the friends and have a little competition.
Yeah, bowling's one of those sports where, I used to bowl a ton where there's a fine line. There is really a fine line with the drinking. You can drink and, get a little buzz and still bowl fine. But once you get over that point, you're F, because you start seeing a lot of pins down there. It's not just 10. You start seeing multiple sets. I've been there before. So yeah, maybe it is a wise decision that you're not on the Modelo's at this point in the morning. DC, what's going on? How are things going for you out there?
Things are good. Yeah, bowling's like a bell curve with the drinking, right? You get a little bit better 2 or 3 beers in, but you fall off very quickly. Yes. You fall off the cliff. So certainly been there with the bowling. I had to celebrate Mexico's Independence Day. It's a big day for the DC clan. I don't know why we celebrate Mexico's Independence Day, but we do. Had a few margaritas a little bit early here, but we're good to go. We got day of baseball, nothing better. And excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I had myself a few margaritas as well. Actually, my son's birthday was yesterday. He was born Cinco de Mayo, so we always have a little celebration. And I hit the margaritas.
Any excuse to have the margs and some tacos, man. I'm all for it.
Oh, it's my favorite combination. G Risen, you get into any margs and tacos yesterday?
I didn't get any margaritas, but I killed a box of Modelo sitting around the house.
There we go.
Yeah, I started a little earlier in the day and went up till about till the later game started, and at that point I tapped out and crashed, and hey, it is what it is. But those Modelo's were going down real good yesterday. It was a nice day here in Michigan, so hey, they taste better when the sun's out.
That is true. Before we get into it, do us that favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps us to continue to bring you guys these shows on a daily basis. We're going to go with the format. We're going to talk about the pitchers first, and then we'll kind of go through the games and talk about some specific plays and stacks and guys that are on our radar. So let's go ahead, hop into the pitcher conversation. It kind of varies slate to slate, I guess, the guys that I'm personally kind of looking at. I know FanDuel at the top, Garrett Cole, they got him way up there above 12K. On DK, I think he's more in the conversation here at 10-5. The matchup's not the greatest. Obviously, the ballpark's not the greatest for pitching either, but he's a guy I think you can more so consider on DK opposed to FanDuel. 10-5, I think, is pretty fair for him. Eovaldi gets that dream matchup against G Risen's Tigers. The Tigers offense is just absolutely pitiful. I think we can continue to target their offense moving forward. 8.4K, and he's been solid for the most part this season. Michael Pineda is another guy that I'm looking at here. Matchup against the Twins. 7.5K is a good price tag for him. And he's been pretty good outside of one start. 4 solid starts, one not so great against the Pirates, but I definitely think he's a guy that we can consider. Woodruff obviously off to a hot start here. Just been very steady. His worst outing was last time out against the Dodgers, but you can kind of give him the free pass for that. Yeah, those are kind of the key guys for me so far. I mean, in my initial dive through the slate. G Ryzen, let's go to you. Talk to me about some of these pitchers, and then anything. I know you played more on FanDuel, so kind of talk about FanDuel specifically as well.
Yeah, just looking at the pitchers today, I pretty much have it narrowed down to about 4 guys I like. I thought about 5, but I eliminated the one. But the 4 I have are Cole. Cole's really expensive on FanDuel. He's 12.3. He's 2,200 higher than Woodruff. But I think that might scare some people off of Cole. Houston isn't really a high strikeout rate. I think they're like second to last in Ks in the majors, but I mean, Cole's got a 44% K rate. I mean, it's kind of hard to ignore that. And I think he's the only pitcher that can truly break the slate. But I also like, obviously Eovaldi against the Tigers. The Tigers are just god awful. They put up some runs the last couple nights, but
I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you just played the pitcher against the Tigers every single night for the entire season so far, you've been doing pretty well. Like,
right,
just,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who it is,
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the fact that Eovaldi, I mean, he's got a 24% K rate. So, I mean, add that with the Tigers high K rate. I mean, I think he's got a decent floor, high upside.
Yeah, for sure he does.
But Woodruff, on the other hand, I mean, at 10-1 on FanDuel against Philly, I want to see if Harper's going to be in the lineup. I haven't seen that yet. If Harper's not, that might make him a little bit more interesting to me.
He's out. Harper's out.
Yeah, Harper's not in the
Harper is
lineup.
out. Good. Yeah, so I do like Woodruff without Harper. And then, you got Wheeler against Milwaukee. He's a high K. Milwaukee's a high K team. But I was looking at Pineda a little bit, and I think I'm just going to shy away from Pineda, even though it's Texas. I think there's a couple better options. But for me, I had it down to 4, and I got rid of Pineda. But yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it to those 4. But I'm leaning Cole.
Even on FanDuel?
Yeah, just because I think in tournaments, I mean, you can find some cheap bats, and there's a couple stacks that I was looking at earlier that are kind of cheap. I think people might just shy away from Cole, but like I said, I think he's really the only guy that can truly break the slate at that pitcher.
Yeah, on FanDuel, the ownership will be a little bit lower. On DK, obviously higher. You pay the two pitchers, and he has a much better price tag over there. DC, let's toss it over to you. Give me your overall thoughts here at this pitcher position.
Yeah, I mean, Houston is a pretty brutal matchup for pitchers in general, right? They've got the highest contact percentage in baseball. But Cole's a unique pitcher, right? Like, he's one of the few pitchers that can just challenge you with a fastball right down the middle, and sometimes you just can't hit it. So Houston's one of their strengths is that they don't chase pitches outside of the zone. They're super patient. But when you can throw 98, 99, not unhittable, but really difficult to hit fastballs, you can overcome that. So I don't like playing normal pitchers against Houston, but Cole is far from a normal pitcher. And I think if he's done his game, if he's able to kind of throw those fastballs at the top of the zone like he always does, he's fully capable of having his normal outing even against the Astros. So I do think he's in play. I'm interested to see if the matchup will scare people away. I get why it would, but I think Cole has the talent to kind of overcome that. Woodruff, I think, I have projected as the second highest starting pitcher on the slate. He's been excellent so far. Like you mentioned, Hoop, a little bit of a rough outing against the Dodgers, but that happens. Much better matchup here against Philly, who is missing both Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto. So Philly's kind of, their JV lineup basically out there today. Good spot for Woodruff. Don't mind Wheeler at the top. I'm typically not the biggest fan of his in the world. I think he's a little bit overrated, but this Milwaukee team without Christian Yelich, it's just not a very good lineup. I mean, Wheeler, another guy that's going to be throwing out, 98, 99 out there, going to give you 100 pitches. I'll take that against this Milwaukee lineup. I'll roll the dice there.
Man, that Milwaukee lineup is bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad every day. They just don't have any good players left. So, I think Wheeler's a solid play. Eovaldi, as you guys mentioned, of course, against the Tigers, any pitcher, especially one that has pretty good strikeout upside, pretty good stuff like Eovaldi has, is going to be in play. Hoop, you mentioned Pineda. He's been really, really good this year. And I've been on Texas the last 2 games. It hasn't worked out. I'm not on them today, so I'm sure they're gonna rock Michael Pineda. Is my worry with him if I jump on the other side. But in theory, a pretty good matchup for him. And then the guy that I am looking at a little bit way off the board, if you want to get a low-owned guy, is Lance McCullars against the Yankees. McCullars is kind of the perfect type of pitcher to potentially crush this lineup. He's got a huge breaking ball. Like no pitcher in baseball basically has more horizontal break on their slider than McCullars does. These Sanchez, not Sanchez isn't in there, but Stanton, Judge, Torres, like these guys will swing and miss at that pitch all day long if McCullars is on. So some risk there with McCullars for sure, but he does have great stuff, and he is the exact type of pitcher I do like to play against the Yankees. He's coming off a 9 strikeout game against the Rays where he threw 111 pitches. So they've got some leash on him too. He's had, I think, 7 days rest since then. Like normally I'd be a little bit concerned about the high pitch count in that game, but he should be good to go here. So I think Lance McCullars has a lot of upside. I don't think anybody will play him. And I'm willing to go there. So McCullars is kind of the GPP option for me.
Yeah, I like that McCullers call. I mean, people typically will shy away from a matchup with the Yankees playing an opposing pitcher against the Yankees lineup. And I don't know, McCullers to me, I think is definitely good enough to get the
he
job
can mow him
done.
down for sure. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
whether or not he will,
that's hard to say. But
You guys aren't afraid of his high walks so far this year?
I mean a little bit, of course.
Yeah.
Like there's reasons to be a little bit scared, but
the Yankees are pretty patient too. So, I mean, that's the only thing when I was looking out, I was thinking, the Yankees pretty patient team. McCullers been struggling a little bit with walks, but I mean, I know what you're saying about the breaking ball. It just seems like Judge can't hit a curveball. It seems like save his life.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the drawback, but you get the added bonus that, I mean, this day and age in MLB where you can get a pitcher that the team's willing to let them go over 100 pitches is, somewhat valuable. I mean, because it just doesn't happen all that often.
What do we think McCullers' ownership will be on DraftKings?
It's going to be low. I mean, I think he'll probably be like 7th, 6th, 7th most popular pitcher. I mean, a lot of people will be going to Cole, Woodruff, even Wheeler, Eovaldi, all those guys, Pineda. I think all those guys will have much higher ownership than him.
Yeah, it makes him enticing because he is a high strikeout guy, right? That's kind of what you want with the low-owned pitchers. You want the ability to get 10+ strikeouts. He definitely has it. I'm not going to say he's going to do it, but there's no question he could put up. I mean, he put up 36 against the Rays. I actually think this is a better match. I kind of talking myself a little bit into McCullers here.
Yeah.
The one other thing, though, I'll mention to add to that is it always seems like in the spot where a pitcher another pitcher is facing a bona fide ace. It always seems like they step up. And actually, these Yankee games, I don't know if you guys have been watching them, but it's almost like a playoff atmosphere too. Man, they're riding the hell out of Altuve, and I mean, I couldn't imagine if that stadium was packed. I mean, it's pretty loud with the capacity they have. But I mean, so yeah, I guess we are talking ourselves in McCullers a little bit, but I do like when pitchers are up against another ace. They always seem to rise up and match the other guy.
Yeah, should be a fun game there. I like McCullers' upside for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's hop in and talk some offenses. Before we do so, I just want to let you guys know we still have that promo going. RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off your first payment on a monthly package at Run Pure Sports. Any of the monthly packages, whether you want DFS and bets, RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off that first payment. So come on over, check us out at runpuresports.com. Let's see. So the first couple games are going to be tough to, find offensive pieces. So the first game, we got the Brewers, we got the Phillies. It's a 6.5 total. 6.5 total, very, very low. 2 offenses that are rolling out some weak overall lineups. Do have some cheap pieces though. But all three of us kind of like Woodruff. We like Wheeler now that we see this Brewers lineup. DC, I'm going to go to you first. Any interest that anyone here in these 2 offenses?
Not really. It would be, I guess, the power bats from Milwaukee that I think I'd be most willing to play. Guys like Travis Shaw, maybe Jackie Bradley. I mean, calling him a power bat's a little bit of a stretch. With Vogelbach or last night. That's going to be a risk for Vogelbach basically whenever he's in the lineup. He's cheap enough, I guess, if you wanted to go there. I think Woodruff has given up like 2 barrels this entire season. So, sometimes I'm willing to take a power hitter against a expensive, chalky pitcher, try to get that home run, right? Can be some good leverage in the tournament. But Woodruff just hasn't been, like a Max Scherzer, right? He does give up a lot of home runs, along with, of course, all the strikeouts and everything. But Woodruff, it just hasn't been an issue for him. So it's kind of hard to even try to get cute and pick off one of these hitters. So, no, I don't really anticipating rostering anybody from this first game. Travis Shaw would be the guy that I'd be most likely to use in my lineups.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say, I mean, if you're building out teams, probably more so in like cash games and you need a cheap bat, yeah, like as the last guy in, Vogelbach, he's 2.6K
Sure.
On DK.
He hit a home run his first at bat, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. And then Tyrone Taylor is 2.1K. So
Yep.
like last guy's in, gets you everything you want. I'd be fine plugging these guys in, but it would definitely be more so on the Brewer side, not the Philly side. G Risen, anything standing out to you here in this game?
No, I'm kind of going to side on with DC here. I mean, that game's got a low over total of 6.5. I mean, Wheeler struggled a little bit against lefties. I mean, that's the only place I'd probably go. I mean, so, like you guys mentioned, Vogelbach and Shaw. But I think there's just other spots to go to, and I'm definitely not interested in any Phillies. So, yeah, it's just a pass on by for me.
All right, next game, we got the Astros, we got the Yankees. Another low total, 7.5. Team total for the Astros is right at 3. Team total for the Yankees, right around 4.5. We obviously know Garrett Cole's a very good pitcher. We're all three of us are on him. Makes it tough to really take a look at these Astros bats. Considering the fact that I think we all just talked ourselves into Lance McCullars as a GPP target, I don't know how much interest you guys are going to have in these Yankees bats. Obviously, on a slate that's kind of smaller, I think you can look to some of these guys as one-off plays, Stanton, Judge specifically. G Risen, what are your thoughts here on these two offenses?
Yeah, McCullars, if we do decide to roster him, obviously I won't be playing any Yankees, but if I was going to play a Yankee, Stanton is just absolutely on fire. I mean, the dude is just breaking. So, he'd be a one-off guy I might consider. But anybody else really lower half of this Yankee lineup, normally I'd always consider the Yankees. I mean, they just got such a good lineup from top to bottom, and actually so do the Astros. But here there's just 2 good pitchers. I think it's just going to be a pass. Maybe, if I land on Stanton and have 3,700 left, I wouldn't be upset with it just because how hot he is. But I just don't really see myself going anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a tough game from an offensive standpoint. Obviously, we got the big names here, but those 2 pitchers are pretty intimidating. DC, what are your thoughts here on this one?
Yeah, I think if I was going to, like playing McCullers is kind of cute in and of itself. I do like him. He will be on some of my teams. If I was going to go with the Yankees, I think I would probably go for a straight up full stack against McCullers because, like G. Risen mentioned, he does have control issues at times. If he's not able to locate his breaking balls and is falling behind these hitters, he's got to come in with fastballs to guys like Judge and Stanton. It could get ugly in a hurry. That's certainly one possibility for this game. I kind of think it's going to be it's a boom bust play with McCullers. I really think it is. So stacking against the other side, I guess, would make some sense. Probably won't do it myself. I think you can one-off the Astros guys like Kyle Tucker. Jordan Alvarez is a straight 4K on DraftKings. That's a great price point for him. He's a 5K hitter. Cole does give up home runs, right? Like Cole's a little bit like Scherzer, where he's going to challenge you with fastballs inside the zone. If Alvarez squares one up, it's a home run, in Yankee Stadium every single time. So I do think one-offing power hitters against Garrett Cole, specifically the lefties, Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, maybe Michael Brantley, who never strikes out, right? He makes a lot of good contact, and you put the barrel on a 98 mile per hour fastball, it's going to fly. And that's why guys like Cole and Scherzer do give up their fair share of home runs. So I think some of the Astros are okay to play as one-offs, but I wouldn't full stack against Cole. I think full stacking against McCullers makes sense. One-offs against Cole makes sense to me.
Love that breakdown. It makes a ton of sense. McCullers, when things go wrong, they tend to go like really wrong. For
Yeah,
McCullars.
exactly.
And,
Yep. He like walks the
full
bases
stack
loaded in the
makes-
first inning, something like
Yep.
that, and you're off to the
Yep.
races.
Yep, 100%. So I definitely agree with you there. Let's keep it moving. Tigers, Red Sox, 8 total here. 3 team total essentially for the Tigers. The Red Sox team total hovering around 5, one of the higher on the slate. And we talked about this pitiful Tigers lineup. Eovaldi, we're on him. I'm just clearly not playing any Tigers today. And then the Red Sox, we don't have their lineup yet, but this will most likely be a pretty popular team. The price tags aren't all that prohibitive. I mean, you have some guys that are priced up. JD Martinez 5.2, Bogarts 5.1, Devers 5.2. Pretty reasonable price tags and easy to obtain, even if you're paying up at the pitcher position. It's a good spot here. So without many offenses to target here today, I definitely have some interest in the Red Sox. And the one thing I do like about the Red Sox lineup, typically, even if it's going to be a popular team, you can more times than not go to the bottom. The bottom of this lineup has a lot of pop too. So this is a team that I'm going to be looking at top to bottom. Like I said, we don't have the lineup yet at this point, so hard to pinpoint the specifics. DC, what are your thoughts on these two offenses here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Red Sox are the side you want against Turnbull. He's an okay pitcher, but nothing special. The Red Sox have been on fire. I think they lead the league in runs per game so far this year. We don't have a lineup for them yet, as you mentioned, Hoop, but he pretty well guess who's going to be in there. You take them out if they're not. Guys like Martinez and Bogarts and Devers, and the bottom of the lineup for Boston is good. I mean, like Bobby Dahlbeck hasn't done anything yet, but he's got huge power. Always a fun GPP play if you like getting 0 fantasy points. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't roster any Tigers. I mean, I was playing Akil Baddoo at the beginning of the season, but he just strikes out literally every time he's up right now. He's obviously been kind of figured out by the league a little bit. So yeah, give me the Red Sox. I think they're one of the best stacks. And I do like stacking the Red Sox in general, right? It does seem like when they go off, they really, really go off and put up 10 plus runs. So they're a top stack if you can afford them. And no Tigers for me.
Rising, this is your squad. Are you going to go the contrarian Tiger stack, or are you fading today? And then talk about the Red Sox as well.
No, I haven't started drinking enough today to consider playing the Tigers. I'd have to pull a Big T and eat an edible before I did that.
Is it just me, or did the Tigers have like their lineup is there's like it seems like there's like 7 or 8 guys that are like all the same player, like some slappy switch hitters. So you just
look at their lineup. Who would start on any other team? There's like 1 or 2 dudes.
Wilson Ramos. Yeah.
I mean, you can make an argument. Shoot might start for a couple of the bottom of the barrel teams,
sure.
Maybe Grossman, but other than that, I mean, it's like a double-A team.
It is, yeah.
I can drive down to Toledo and have more fun and go see some games down there and see better baseball.
Cheaper beers too.
Yeah, that's the damn truth. But you look at the Red Sox. Turnbull's actually decent against righties. So the lefties here are the ones I'd probably look at first. Devers, he got a day off. He came back yesterday. He looked like he was okay. Verdugo has been hurt. He's been out of the lineup, so I'm not sure if he'll make it in today. But you guys talk about like the bottom of a stack, like Franchi Cordero down there at the bottom. If he ends up down there in the 9-hole today, is a guy I actually played yesterday. Didn't really work out, but I like Franchi, especially at min price. There's a couple other spots that I'm going to probably target, and I'm only going to probably play 3 teams today. So I don't know if I'm actually going to go after the Red Sox. I do like a couple other spots. I'm going to lay caution. I just think Turnbull's pretty decent ground ball pitcher against righties. So I think there's a couple other spots I'm going to attack.
Very good. DC, what are your thoughts here in this game?
Yeah, just Red Sox are bust, basically. I'm not playing any Tigers.
I already talked about that one. Sorry. All right, next game, we have the Rangers. We have the Twins, 8.5 total. Lyles versus Pineda. Pineda, I think, gets some ownership today. The Rangers offense, I think, will come in pretty low. And Joey Gallo, though, at 3.1K kind of stands out as a solid target here. Obviously has double dong upside on the Twins side. get some nice price point plays. Max Kepler, 3.4K is a good price tag for him. I think he's in the conversation. You get Kyle Garlick at 2.6K batting fifth. As it stands now, the Twins have the highest team total on this slate. They're definitely going to get some ownership. G. Risen, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I agree with you. Pineda is going to get some ownership. I haven't really fallen in love with any of those Ranger bats. I know DC was a Ranger fan the last few nights. I think I'm
not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. But I mean, like you mentioned, Gallo, I mean, he's definitely got home run upside. But you look at the other side of this game, and Jordan Lyles has just been absolutely terrible. I think he's given up 8 home runs in 6 starts. He's almost at 50% fly ball rate, and the lefties just been the hard hit rates up there pretty high for lefties. So, I do like Kepler in that leadoff spot for the Twins. He's only 2,900 on FanDuel, and I, am kind of disappointed in this Twins lineup, to be honest with you. Just kind of looking at it, yeah, I mean, Byron Buxton's always in play. That guy's just, I mean, he's looking like an MVP candidate to me. You mentioned Garlick. He's only min price. He's hitting in the 5 hole. And then Miguel Sano came back. He's only 2,500. So actually, if you want to stack up these Twins, they're fairly cheap. I mean, the 4, 5, 6 hitters are 2,200, 2K, and 2,500. So yeah, I do see the Twins being fairly popular just because it is a pretty cheap stack.
Yeah, and those prices on FanDuel are specifically cheap. I mean, we can get a couple cheap ones on DK, Kepler, Garlic, but the price tags for the core of this lineup on FanDuel very, very cheap. DC, what do you got here in this Rangers Twins game?
I mean, both sides of this game, the offenses are super cheap, and I was all in on this game last night. Didn't work out, 3-1 finish. You didn't see me in the winner's circle, but it's hard not to go back to these guys. I mean, Willie Calhoun's been on fire. He's 2,700 hitting leadoff. Joey Gallo, 3,100, like you mentioned. David Dahl hitting 6th is 2,400. Like, I mean, you can pretty much stack up, full on Rangers or Twins and get 2 stud pitchers into your lineup. It's tempting. Pineda, he's been a good pitcher, but another guy that part of the reason he's so good, he just throws so many strikes, right? He just pounds his own with strikes. He doesn't have overpowering stuff by any means. He doesn't have a huge strikeout rate. He's going to give up home runs. And Texas, these guys aren't the best hitters in the world, but they've got plenty of power, like you mentioned with Gallo and Calhoun and David Dahl. So I'll have my Rangers rather in some of my teams for sure. And then, yeah, Twins too. I think you got to pay a lot to get Byron Buxton and Cruz into your lineup, but those aren't really the guys that I think are the best plays. It's guys like Kepler and Garlic that are super cheap. So, yeah, I think both offenses here look pretty good once again.
Yeah, the both off or specifically the Rangers. I mean, that is super cheap price tag.
Yeah,
I mean,
their whole team's under 3K. It's all right.
Yeah, it's nuts. And we talked about it before. I mean, years ago when you played MLB DFS on DK, you get 1 or 2 guys under 3K, and everyone just played them because it never happened. Yeah. Now the pricing is just so soft where you're getting 20 of these guys a slate. So let's keep it moving here. Next game, we got the Mets. We got the Cardinals. 8 total in this game. Walker versus Gant. Yeah, I don't know. This game is kind of a blah one to me. Maybe you guys have a strong take. I really don't have a strong opinion on this one. It's a middling total here at 8. Both pitchers are kind of blah. I'll go to you first, DC. Is anything standing out to you here in this Mets Cardinals game?
No, yeah, I'm kind of with you. 2 kind of average-ish right-handed pitchers. Average-ish park. I just don't see much here. I mean, the Mets just haven't been hitting at all. You could these Cardinals. I much prefer them against left-handed pitchers. Everyone knows about Goldschmidt and Arenado, who for years have hit lefties much better than righties, but even the 2 switch hitters at the top, Tommy Edman and Dylan Carlson, are both, I think, significantly better hitters against left-handed pitching. So probably not go these guys much against Taijuan Walker, who's been solid. His velocity dropped a little bit last start, but I don't know if that will maintain. And he's been pretty good this year for the most part. So I don't see much from Cardinals and Mets that I really want to roster. I think I would be more likely to go to the Mets side of it, but you certainly don't feel good about that right now, just the way they've been swinging it. So I don't mind it, but mostly staying away from this game myself.
Yeah, and just even going through and just trying to find some price point plays or guys that might be viable for cash games. There's just, I don't know, just there's really nothing that stands out on DK. Maybe it's different on FanDuel. G Ryzen, what are your thoughts here on this one?
Actually, I got a little bit of interest in the Mets. John Gant just got a pretty high walk rate. I usually like to stack against pitchers that have control issues. He gets hit hard by lefties, and I mean, I like the lefties in the Mets lineup. You got McNeil, Conforto, Smith, and then if you wanted to throw in Lindor, obviously you could do that. I don't mind the lefties at all. Like I said, Gant gets beat up by lefties, so that might be a under the radar stack that I'd full stack it. I wouldn't do anything else other than full stack it, but I do think the Mets are interesting today. I know I don't like the park, but with an 8-game slate and as good as pitching as we have today, I don't think the Mets are really in that bad of a spot.
All right, very good. What are the prices like on FanDuel? Moderately priced, or are they cheap at all?
I mean, you can get McNeil's 28, Lindor's 2,900. They'll be batting high up in the lineup. Dominic Smith's 2,800. So yeah,
So I mean, they're just much better. The price tags are much better on FanDuel versus DK. I mean, you got Lindor at 5K, McNeil 4.4 on DK. So I think it's definitely more of a FanDuel type stack.
Yeah, and I like looking at that too when you got the pricing on the two sites. I mean, the difference between Lindor on the two sites is that much. I mean, being a 5K hitter on DK, I mean, with that, Lindor should be 3,500 or so on FanDuel, and he's only 29. So I know he's been struggling a little bit. I mean, obviously all the Mets have been struggling, but it's like I said, on an 8-game slate with some good pitching, trying to look for other spots. I know this one kind of stuck out to me just because of Gant's his problems with lefties.
Yep. All right, let's keep it moving. Before we do so, I just want to remind you guys we have that partnership going with SuperDraft. If you use the promo code RUNPURE at checkout, you get a deposit match up to $100. So that's at superdraft.com. The promo code RUNPURE. We have core plays listed for SuperDraft on the core plays part of our website. So make sure to check them out. Next game, Indians Royals. Another low total, 7.5. McKenzie versus Duffy. For being a low total, though, I have a little bit of interest specifically on the Indian side. They have some guys that hit left-handed pitching really well. Luplow is a guy that anytime he's facing a lefty, I'm going to have some interest. Reyes, I think, is a guy you can consider. We don't have the lineup for the Indians yet, but you can assume that those guys are in the lineup. And then on the Royals side, team that I have moderate interest in as well. I mean, this game doesn't have a huge total, but the Royals lineup, I mean, they have guys that can do some damage. So the Royals are going to be on my radar as a stack as well. Let's go to you first, DC. What are your thoughts here, Indians, Royals?
Yeah, I think you can look at both offenses here. The hitting conditions in this game aren't ideal. A big park in Kansas City and kind of cool and wind blowing in. So I don't love that part of it. Danny Duffy has been pretty incredible this year. I've been on him a couple rides, stacking against him with the Twins, power right-handed bats. Seemed like a pretty good spot, but it didn't work out. Duffy delivered another pretty good performance. I'm kind of starting to buy into Danny Duffy a little bit. We didn't talk about him much at pitching, but I do think he's another guy that you could for sure conceivably play. So I think he could kind of fall apart at any time. We've seen Duffy go through some really rough stretches, but he does seem like he's kind of at the top of his game right now. So I don't think I'll go to the Indians too much. Royals are interesting. McKenzie is a talented pitcher, but velocity's down this year. He's pitched okay, but I don't think he's anyone that you need to avoid by any stretch of the imagination. We do have the Royals lineup, looks pretty good. Those first 6 or 7 hitters, I think, are all solid plays against McKenzie. So I guess give me the Royal side overall, but it's not my favorite game, mostly just because of it's going to be hard to hit home runs in this game. I just don't think the upside is necessarily there for a lot of these hitters. So kind of an avoid game for me overall.
Horizon, what do you got here?
Yeah, I'm not going to go after Danny Duffy. I mean, if I did, Franmil would be the guy I'd look at. But I mean, his price on FanDuel is 3,600, and I'm just not. If he was around 3K, I'd consider it as a one-off. But I just don't think I'm going to pay that much for him.
Yeah.
And then you guys mentioned the Royals. Tristan McKenzie is a guy. I mean, yeah, young guy, got a lot of upside. But he seems to have some control issues at times, and it just seems like when he melts down, it's just a complete meltdown. Like it's just bad. It just turns south real quick. So Benattendi's been hot as can be lately. I think he's hitting over like 400 something the last week. The Royals overall have been hot. So I mean, Dozier's been hot. I do like some of the Royals. Might be a mini stack. But yeah, like DC mentioned, I'm not really expecting too many home runs in this game here, but maybe a one-off or maybe two guys wouldn't be a bad idea, but I just don't see myself full stacking them.
Yeah. So McKenzie, he does have good strikeout stuff. Like I think he's up near like 14 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's also at nearly a walk per inning, 9 walks per, basically, I think he has 18 walks in 18 and 2/3 innings so far. He's got the lowest zone percentage, lowest strike percentage in baseball. 29% of his pitches are in the strike zone. I love stacking against guys like that, right? They can just completely melt down, walk the yard, get him out of there early, get into that bullpen. I wish the hitting conditions were a little bit better in Kansas City, but I love stacking against wild pitchers, so maybe a little more interest in Casey than I initially had.
Yeah. I do lay caution though. That Cleveland bullpen's been very good so far this year. So
it has, but that's most of the top end, right? That's Karinchak, that's Emmanuel Clase. They're two guys that close out games. Whitgren has been good. Those guys won't pitch if Casey's up 6-0 after 3 innings. So I don't think the back end guys in Cleveland are guys that you need to fear.
Yeah, and then Benattendi's 3K specifically on DK. I think really good value play there in all formats, really. So let's keep it moving. 2 more games. We got the Blues. We got the Blues. The Blues. I don't even freaking watch hockey. I don't know.
If you asked me what was the name of the St. Louis hockey team, I don't know if I would have been able to come up with it off the top of my head.
The only reason I know is because freaking Crane. We do those NFL shows, and Crane would wear his dumbass Blues hat every single day, no matter the sport, be it NFL show, NBA show, and he's wearing his Blues hat.
It's like the Siege Green polo. It's just an all sports type of.
Yes, yeah, it just doesn't come off no matter what. It's staying on. You know what you're getting. The Blue Jays and the A's, 8.5 total, one of the bigger totals here on the slate. Ryu versus Fires. The team total for the Blue Jays is 4.5. And on most slates that's typically not saying much, but on this slate it is, because there's not a lot of teams that have this sort of team total. Athletics are right around 4. The Blue Jays have a lineup that can definitely do some damage, and I don't hate them here today. And plus, you're getting this added bonus where, 2 of these late. We only have two games that are starting like 3:30 Eastern or later. Lineups, we got the Braves lineups, but we don't have either of the lineups here for this game. I think you can anticipate some lower ownership here. Really like specifically the Blue Jays in tournaments. A little bit of interest in the A's righties. Whoever gets in that lineup. But like I said, I think ownership comes in lower because we're not going to have these lineups at lock most likely. We might get them, but as it stands now, we don't have it. So I definitely like the Blue Jays in tournaments as a stack. And then the A's, you got to be a little bit careful because they have a lot of different guys. They mix in the lineups, but obviously with late swap, you can make the proper adjustments. G-Rise and thoughts here on the Blue Jays and the Athletics.
Yeah, the Blue Jays, you look at Fires going against the Jays. He's just got some control issues at times, and it just seems like he blows up. I do like all the righties, actually. For Fears gives up more to righties than he actually does lefties. So I like, you got Springer and Bichette, and Vladdy's just been absolutely on fire lately. So I do like Vladdy, and then Grichuk is another guy that you could add in a stack. They are fairly expensive. I mean, Springer's 4,100 on FanDuel, Bichette's 35, Vladdy's 39. So they are going to be an expensive stack. So if you were looking at one of them high-end pitchers, you'd really have to go to the bottom of the barrel to fill out the rest of your lineup. But I actually think the Blue Jays are in one of the better spots. I'm not really generally a fan of stacking in Oakland. But like you mentioned, I do believe in that theory when the lineups aren't out that they do, tend to garner lower ownership. So yeah, hopefully those lineups don't come out, and two of these better games here at the back end, we'll be able to get some of those bats at a lower ownership than if they're at 1:00. But yeah, I can't say I'm really interested in any A's against Ryu. Ryu is just a guy I generally don't like stacking against.
Yeah.
I mean, Canna is generally decent. Lariano, Chapman. I mean, they're all decent against lefties, and I generally like to use them against a lefty. But Ryu's a guy that I'm just gonna leave him alone.
Yeah, kind of agree with you there. I mean, could potentially get some cheap value bets, but we already kind of have them, so we don't need it in terms of the matchup with Ryu. DC, thoughts here on the Blue Jays, A's?
Yeah, probably not going to the A's. Ryu just never gets blown up, right? We're talking about guys, like McCullars and McKenzie that can just absolutely implode. Like literally never happens to Ryu. So probably not going to stack. I mean, if you want to use like Sean Murphy, I think is one of the better catcher plays. You want to using a one-off, try to get that home run is fine, but not too many A's for me. Blue Jays, though, I do really like. Fire's just not any good. He actually got hit much harder by right-handed bats than lefties last year, which is, of course, good for the Blue Jays that you would consider. I think Vladimir Guerrero leads the charge. I mean, dude is just absolutely ridiculous. The ball does fly better in Oakland in the daytime before what's it called? The marine layer, before the marine layer moves in at night. That was like the biggest talk in DFS like 5 years ago, the marine layer out west. But you don't hear it too often. Maybe over at RG they're still talking about the marine layer. I'm not sure. But yeah, Vladimir Guerrero leads away. I think Springer's back to the IL, so you can't use him, but I think the Blue Jays make for an interesting stack, right? You can see them blowing up Mike Fiers, no question about it. Teoscar Hernandez, these guys all have huge power. Randall Grichuk, like you mentioned. So I do like the Blue Jays as a stack. They're expensive, but you can find ways to fit them in if you want to go that direction.
Yeah, definitely like the Blue Jays here. And like I said, as long as we don't get this lineup, I think the ownership comes in pretty low. All right, we're gonna one more game, and then we'll get into some plays and stacks. Do us that favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on the video. Helps us to continue to bring you guys these videos.
We only got 113 likes, Hoop. I mean, we need to get a few more, don't we?
Yeah, we definitely need quite a bit more.
We're not even at a third ratio. I think we're barely at a third ratio what we got watching.
We definitely need more likes, one more game, and then we're going to get to the play. So make sure you please, like I said, please hit the like button and also subscribe. Helps us. So hit that up. Yeah, that ratio is just very, very hurtful, as our boy JT Hayes says. Braves, Nationals, highest total on the slate, 9. Smiley versus Lester. We got the Braves lineup a couple minutes ago, and they went right-handed heavy. It looks like all right-handed bats here against Lester. No Freddie Freeman in the lineup, but you get Austin Riley batting 4th, Swanson batting 5th, and then Acuna, Elbies, and Azuna at the top of this lineup. Think you will definitely see some ownership here with these Braves bats because of this matchup here, the fact that it is the highest game total on the slate. So G-Rise, I'm going to go to you first. What are your thoughts on this Braves Nationals game?
Yeah, this is a juicy one here. Definitely with the highest team total. Drew Smiley's he's been bad. I'm not a fan of Drew Smiley. He just gets beat up pretty bad. I mean, the first guy I'm looking at is Trey Turner. He's probably going to be on my short list for shortstops. Trey Turner is one of my favorites. I like to play Trey Turner, so I'm not going to talk myself off of him. And then, Ryan Zimmerman's been just bashing the ball as well. So I like Zimmerman. Harrison's been hitting the ball. So I do like the Nationals as a stack against Smiley. And then, even the Brave side, Lester's been struggling. I mean, both guys are just not themselves as they used to be. Obviously, Acuna, he's probably the top bat. I mean, probably he is the top bat on the slate. And then, like you mentioned, they got all righties all the way down. Albies, Azuna, Riley. I mean, he's really cheap, 2,400 on FanDuel in the 4-hole. And then Swanson's cheap too, 2,400. And then Kristen Pache, he's a young fella that come up. He hit a grand slam here recently. I do like him. They bumped him up a little bit here in the lineup. But I like both sides of this game here. Potential for a game stack if that's something you're looking at. But there's some strong plays on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, we'll definitely have some ownership. I think that the Braves side for sure will be higher on the Nationals for one, because we already have their lineup and we don't have the Nationals lineup at this point. DC, what are your overall thoughts on this Braves Nationals game?
Yeah, you gotta love both offenses in this one, right? I've been stacking against John Lester for years. That will continue today. They're finally giving Freddie Freeman a day off. The dude looks like he needs one. But that doesn't, scare me at all away from this Braves lineup. Albies has just smashed lefties. He's just so good against lefties. Hasn't faced many this year, but gets, one of the worst ones in baseball, frankly, in John Lester right now. So give me Acuna, Albies. Austin Riley's been on fire. I think he's just 3,900. G. Risen brought up Christian Pache hitting out of the 7-hole. He's good if you need a cheap guy. Really, this whole lineup. I'm not going to play Jeff Mathis, but everybody else looks like a pretty good play from the Braves, frankly. And on the other side, too, Drew Smyly hasn't been good this year. You're talking about Trey Turner. The matchup itself is fantastic. Then you throw in the fact Drew Smyly, in terms of stolen bases allowed per inning pitched over the last 3 years, he's third worst in baseball, just behind Tyler Glasnow and Noah Syndergaard. Everybody knows about those two guys. Smyly almost as bad in terms of holding runners. He's got 37-year-old Mathis catching him. I don't think he's going to be able to throw anyone out. So Trey Turner, I would expect him to for sure steal second and maybe third if he gets a chance against Drew Smyly, which obviously
DC poor man's home run.
Yes, the poor man's home run for Trey Turner could be coming in the first inning of this one. He might just hit a home run right off the bat anyway, but if he doesn't, if he gets on first, he should be off at the races. So Trey Turner, I think rightfully the top shortstop, but I love Dansby Swanson too against Lester, so you could go either way.
Yeah, really good game here for DFS purposes. Like you said, the Trey Turner thing, phenomenal shortstop play, definitely the premier shortstop play on the slate. We got some cheapies here. We have the Spens, obviously Acuna, so definitely a really good game here. Like I said, don't have that Nationals lineup at this point. All right, that we'll do it for the game by game breakdown. We're going to just go to the plays of the day. And let's go to G Risen first. And I named this play. I don't know if it stuck at all, but the up in smoke play of the day. Give us a bat, a pitcher, an offense, whatever you want. So the up in smoke play of the day. Who do you got for us?
Well, my up in smoke play of the day is going to be Max Kepler. So I like Max in that leadoff spot against Jordan Lyles. I think Max definitely could hit a dong today. So I'm going to go there. And I'll give you a stack that I do like, and I'm going to go with the Blue Jays as my favorite stack.
I like that Blue Jays. Yeah, I don't think they're going to get a ton of ownership here. So definitely like that call. All right, let's go to DC with the Mom's Basement play of the day. Who do you got for us?
You know what? A pitcher, I'll go with my guy, Lance McCullers. I think we're going to get some low ownership on him. I think he's got a chance to mow down this Yankees lineup, get a bunch of strikeouts. It's the strikeout upside that I'm really chasing here. Not a perfectly safe play, but you're playing GPPs for upside mostly, and I think Lance has it. For the hitter, I will go with Ozzie Albies, who did have a slow start to the year. Been picking it up a little bit recently, swings much better from the right side of the plate, and gets a fantastic matchup against John Lester.
Love it. All right, we're going to hop off and finish up some of the content. I have to finish up the cash chart for FanDuel DraftKings. DC is going to finish up the playbook. G Risen's going to get his cores in there and slate breakdown. So make sure you head on over to Run Pure Sports. Check it all out. You can use that promo code RPS Heater 25, gets you 25% off your first payment on a monthly package at Run Pure Sports. So for G Risen, for DC, I'm Hoop. Good luck to everyone in your contest today.